Welcome to Why We're Fans. I'm Duran, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Gennaro.
In all of our episodes, we cover the past, present, and the future of all your favorite NFL football teams.
We love hearing your stories, talking the NFL draft, and reminiscing about the good old days.
If you like the same, be sure to subscribe to this channel and like this episode. And leave a comment below if you want to answer any of our questions.
Follow us on Twitter to stay up to date on our latest interviews. And like we always say, win or lose, we're all fans. Enjoy this episode.
What's going down? How's everybody doing? Hi, welcome back to another episode of Why We're Fans. It's your hosts, Gennaro and Duran. I hope everyone's having a great day, even a better week. It's almost the weekend. I can't wait. Duran, how's it going, buddy?
Good. Another episode I'm excited for. I mean, it's just a team that has tons of history.
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, not much success, but they have one of the best fan bases around. And I think their team's on the rise, so we'll have some good topics for them.
Hell yeah, man. I can't wait. You sipping on anything in particular?
I am. Today, I got Smart Feller Triple IPA from Iron Ox.
Damn.
Nice can.
I got a representative of California right here, hella stoked, from Hen House and Almanac, the beer work. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hella excited.
Dang, I should have went and grabbed a ginger ale before this.
Should have, man. All right. Well, let's bring in our guest today. We got a Browns fan, Paul Duncan. Paul, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing great. This is my second podcast that I'm doing today. I'm trying to do a media tour for my draft guide that I recently released with Expand the Box Score, 323 player reports, 400 to 550 words on every prospect, trait grades. Yeah, $12. So at Expand the Box Score. So I'm just trying to talk to as many people, have as much fun with as many people, and kind of just introduce myself to a wider audience.
Well, speaking of that, let everybody know where they can find you and whatnot, and where they can find this draft guide.
Absolutely. So the draft guide is being done by Expand the Box Score. So if you were to just go to expandtheboxscore.com, you'll see the draft guide there. The Twitter handle would be XT Box Score. So like XTB and then Ox Score. So that would be the Twitter to look for. And then my Twitter is the Footpaul, because I'm Paul and I like football and puns. So I'm the Footpaul.
And I did get that draft guide last year, and it has just a whole bunch of unique stats and of course details on every player. So
this is our first year.
Oh, it's your first year? The Expand the Box Score one is?
Yep.
Oh, what was the previous one that you worked on?
Sports Info Solutions one.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
That was the one, yeah.
Well,
okay.
I'll be getting this one too.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, their one is really good. Mm-hmm. So, but I think ours, since a lot of the people were like the people who moved on from there, we picked up. So we have like a more experienced scouts, I would hope. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really excited. So yeah, the Browns, they're good now. Crazy.
Yeah, who would have thought, man? You guys picked up the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, and you guys are, a solid team now.
Yeah, quick question before we dive into it. Are you kind of on that JJ Watt bandwagon? I know there's a lot of rumors about where he's going to go. There's been some rumors connecting him to the Browns. I mean, pairing him with Myles Garrett, I think, would be pretty nasty. I don't think either one of them has ever not been double teamed. So,
yeah, like, what is the downside of picking up JJ Watt? There is no downside.
Yep.
We could sign him to the deal, and his ACLs could explode, and his Achilles could go to the moon, tear all his labrums, but just him as a locker room guy and a leader. Mm-hmm. Like he would still have value to the organization. Like there's like no downside to taking him. And if we get him at like 80% of what JJ Watt was in the last couple of years, that's still going to be incredibly dangerous, because if you can have a guy who can rush the passer from the inside and from like the 3 tech, and a guy who can rush wide, that creates a whole bunch of mismatches. Like you can't double team them both.
Yeah. I mean, like how you said that leadership in the locker room too, because even though you guys are in the up and coming, I feel like you guys don't really have that guy yet. And you can see what he did in Houston and for the city of Houston, how awesome that was. So it'd be pretty interesting to see him in the old, orange and brown. So.
Yep, the orange and brown. And it'd be it'd be interesting because his brothers are on the Steelers, and they can get more into that rivalry. I mean, it's finally a rivalry again.
Yeah, I'm sure the dog pound would love it, man, because the Browns ain't the Browns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Paul, let's dig on into it. How did you become a Browns fan?
Well, I mean, I'm living in Cleveland. I'm a short train ride away to getting to downtown. So Cleveland has just always been where I've been from. I never really went to Browns games as a kid, but I always went to the Indians games because they were cheaper. But it was just always like one of those things where on Sunday you wake up, you go to church, you eat waffles and pancakes, and you turn on the Browns.
There you go.
So it was just kind of like that kind of habit that drove me to it. And when you're like a little kid, football is awesome. Like they are like almost real life superheroes. They wear these big helmets and these big pads. So it's like they are, you don't like immediately recognize them as like human beings when you're 5 and 6. They're like almost like cooler and greater beings.
Yeah.
So you like watch it and you're like enthralled, and you want to see more, and they're hitting each other, and then you just like watch these guys jump really high and hit really hard, and you kind of see like the drama and the progress throughout the game. And yeah, I was just hooked on it from a early age. I actually love baseball and football like pretty much equally. Would always read books about them and read newspaper clippings and stories, and know all about the players from that time period. And then as I got older, I was able to like discover like football video games and learn more about like the depth of like drafting and free agency and the schemes behind these things. And yeah, I love football, and the Browns were there.
I agree.
You're pretty sad. Speaking of baseball, you're pretty sad about Lindor.
Oh my goodness. Like the Indians, it hurts at like a very deep level, because it's like heartbreak again and again and again. It's like I even thought that I was telling myself, oh, the only reason the Indians are trading all of their good players is to save up cap room so they can sign Lindor, and then they trade him. And I'm like, so you got rid of all of these players to not keep Lindor, to just go from being a team that won like a whole bunch of division titles and made a whole bunch of playoff appearances in a row to being a worse team? Like, you're doing literally nothing to improve your odds of winning. I mean, maybe Eddie Rosario's good. I don't know. It just like goes against everything. And like I do like ushering and ticket taking for the Indians. So like I'm really like close to like the fan base, and I love like talking to the fans as they come into the stadium. And just the overall vibe is just going to be like so different. Like there's not going to be the star player. We know the Indians are going to be changing the name. And from like the perspective of like a Cleveland person, it's like you don't consider any of really the controversy or what outsiders would think. They're just the Indians to you. That's what they always have been. That's what they always were. You don't even like, when I think of like the Cleveland Indians, there's like no imagery of Native Americans coming into my mind. And it's like, you almost are connected to it, and you want like your kids to have that same connection, and then it'll just be a little part lost. And it's just like everyone's just kind of in a bad mood over the Indians, and it's just rough.
I bet, man. That's crazy. So have you been to a Browns game?
Yes, I went to a preseason game in high school, and I went to my first regular season game in 2016. And that was the one game the Cleveland Browns won that year. Nice. I bought tickets off SeatGeek for $4.
There you go.
I brought a sign to the stadium that said my tickets were cheaper than a Big Mac, and had everybody rolling that saw the sign, and watched that game as Jamie Meter blocked what would have been, I think, the game tying field goal to cement ourselves as not being 0-16 for at least another year.
Yeah, that was first the Chargers. I
Yep.
see it 20-17. It was your early Christmas present, or it was your Christmas present. It was on December 24th.
Yep, Saturday game, not very good weather. I was all bundled up and looking all warm.
Yeah, that was, you guys had a RG triple sticks at quarterback.
Oh no, it was Connor Shaw. I think it was Connor Shaw. Was it Connor Shaw?
No, Cody Kessler came in too. I'm looking at the box score right now.
I'm not sure how this is going to translate, but there you go.
Oh, that looks perfect.
Oh, nice. That's clear.
Yeah. And you had two quarterbacks come in, but the important part is you got that W. Were there a lot of fans there, or were they just trying to give out tickets at that point?
There were still like decent amount of people there. I can't remember how many, but like it was a Saturday night before Christmas. Everyone's going to be kind of with their family,
Mhm.
and then there were just kind of like the normal hooligans who were going down there. It was just like such a weird environment because like there was still more like space, and none of like the staff people were like caring about like checking tickets and stuff. So it was kind of chill that way.
Yeah.
Are you the first generation? I mean, is your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, anything like that Browns fans?
No, not really.
Wow.
My uncle, who served as my father figure throughout middle school and high school, he was a pretty casual football fan. Like, he'd watch it to like watch it with me, but like I've talked with him like after I left, and he's like, yeah, I barely watch the Browns anymore. I barely watch any football. So it's like I'll go over to like families for Thanksgiving and there won't even be football on kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeesh.
It's definitely kind of interesting. They don't like hate it or anything. I mean, some of the older ones do after all the Kaepernick stuff, but like it's like whatever. They know it's my thing. I don't really have much to talk about with them over it.
Yeah, I know you don't watch it with your family every week. What's your game day ritual? Do you watch it by yourself?
Yeah, I just lay on the couch. It's so weird. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have kind of had this, but the more you like study football and the more you like try to be like an official person with it, it's like watching football is almost half a study session and half what it was like just watching it as a fan. It's like I'm actually trying to watch it and pay attention to it and not kind of get distracted by conversations and like I watch so much football with all of my draft scouting stuff. So it's like I almost feel that I like lose my fandom a little bit in my rationality and how much I've learned about the game and the X's and O's. But there still is just kind of that special feeling when the Browns win and you're like, holy crap, I went almost like 2 years without this.
Yeah.
Are you a live tweeter, or are you constantly keeping up during the games?
I try not to, but like sometimes it's too much. Like I'll normally get around 5 tweets out a game.
One a quarter and then one to wrap it up.
Yeah, you should have seen my tweets back when I was in college. How nuts those were back when Twitter was the wild west of things. I was saying a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's funny. Do you have like a game day ritual that you do? I mean, I know that you're also working while you're doing it, but is there, especially with the Browns, how good they were last year, is there a certain, like, I don't know, pen you use or something?
No, I've never been much for superstition or.
I figure you would be because you're a baseball guy too. So.
No, it's like I just never really fell into that kind of line of thinking because I've just been so I have just a very like objective and statistical mindset where it's like Yeah, I completely understand that what jersey I'm going to wear is going to have literally zero effect on whether my team wins a game. So it's like I don't really have like anything that I put much effort into. But I really wish, like, especially like this year after kind of coronavirus kind of took things off, and with my living situation, I haven't really been able to like be around friends. But I would have loved to have gotten like some kind of tradition where I could like actually like, go out and hang out and tailgate. And I'm not much of a drinker, but have a few beers with the boys before we get into the fun of football.
So speaking of jerseys, do you remember your first jersey that you owned or were gifted?
Oh, can you guess?
Oh, this is something we haven't really guessed before. Let's see here.
I'll give you a hint. I'm 25.
Trent Richardson.
No, Tim Couch.
Okay, Nebraska great.
Kentucky, but yeah, like when the Browns came back, I was 4, and like everyone had Browns fever, so and they knew I loved sports at a young age, so yeah, I got Tim Couch, and then my second jersey, quite a character in the news recently.
First, Josh Gordon.
Kellen Winslow.
Oh, Kellen Winslow.
Kellen Wins. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, you don't wear that one for good luck.
Yeah, that one. And yeah, I quickly realized that Browns jerseys were about the worst investment possible, because you get them and then a year later they might just be totally worthless. Like that was why I was so excited when Baker Mayfield started becoming good, because then I'm like, yeah, I can finally buy a Browns jersey and not have it be antiquated in a year. And then they changed their jerseys back, and I have the old jerseys.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much figured out jerseys aren't that good of an investment. I mean, especially with the way free agency is. And I mean, you see guys like Deshaun Watson. You think Texans fans weren't like, hey, I can get a Deshaun Watson jersey. He's going to be here forever. You see guys, Russell Wilson, you're like, he's going to be here forever. Tom Brady. And yeah, you never know what's going on in the NFL.
At least with Brady and Wilson, you at least got 10 years out of your jersey.
Yeah.
Way better than in basketball, where every superstar switches teams every 3 years, or baseball, where unless you're like the Yankees or a big market team, every good player you have is a rental.
I'm a huge Yankee fan, but I'm loving it this year. I'm loving how they're doing things this year. They're blowing, they're growing their farm system. Their farm system's kicking ass.
Yeah. I'm happy you guys didn't get Lindor. That would have ripped my heart out.
I think my brother wanted him a lot.
I only have one more question, and it's just because you said you took tickets for the Indians. Have you seen any of the players like out in public, or any of them big Indians fans you see coming through the gates?
No, the only famous person that I've ever actually ran into was a famous YouTuber. Tried to get in late. It was Cody Ko, who does comedy, and it was like him and his girlfriend and like the rest of his crew. And it was like, wait a second, isn't that the guy I watch like every once in a while on YouTube? Yeah. Well, I mean, only he could have that kind of douchebag hair. So it was like, yeah. And I actually I talked with him at the end with that. He was actually really cool, because YouTubers, like, especially the ones that aren't like in the super high end, that are just kind of like in between like 1 million to 3 million followers, they're like not fully celebrities. They're very niche celebrities. So they don't act, they can still like go out and cut public and barely get noticed.
Yep. Shout out to Cody. Come on the show.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say that you're I actually shotgun beers with Baker Mayfield.
Yes, what is it? Speaking of YouTubers, the Paul brothers are actually like from the town over from us. Like my little brother and the Paul's cousins are like best friends. So that's just kind of a little funny tidbit about Cleveland. If you need,
they still live there, right?
No, they're in LA.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I've seen their houses.
It's
I
nuts.
grew up a wrestler, so I mean I'm rooting for Ben Askren in that boxing match. So
Oh, yep. That's kind of fun. I am kind of happy that they are making celebrity boxing a thing again. I kind of hope it just gets to the point where there is like a celebrity boxing WWE and title belts and like consistent monthly feuds. Because
I mean,
I don't know. I love the spectacle and the silliness of it and the trash talking, and I already have like matches that I want to kind of like book between YouTube celebrities. I think Johnny Manziel would be the absolute perfect celebrity fighter. I just want him to do either like Rough and Rowdy for Barstool or be the undercard of a Jake Paul fight so bad.
That would be awesome.
Funny.
Those are
That would
getting
be
more
awesome to
popular
see.
than regular boxing.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Anything else for how it started, G?
No,
I mean, I just feel that there's like so much more to talk about with like the Browns' history and what it was like being a fan of a team that never wins.
Well, I think we can get into that with your worst memory. We're going to talk about favorite coaches, your earliest memory. I think we'll touch on some of that stuff.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into it. But, from now on right now, what we want to do is guess your favorite player. Duran, you want to go and give it a go?
I think there's only one option here. I'm going to go Joe Thomas. What do you got, G?
Let's see here. I am definitely going to go with Nick Chubb.
Hey, new guy.
Yep,
Yeah.
new guy.
The two guys that immediately come to mind are Joe Thomas and Josh Cribbs.
Oh, Josh
Cribbs. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Cribbs was a great guy, like both within the community. Like I was able to like get his autograph like before he got popular because he was doing like autograph signings at like local ice cream shops. Like he just loved doing like little silly stuff like that that I was able to go to. Joe Thomas is special because in 2007 because my uncle he does stuff with the Cleveland Clinic, and the Cleveland Clinic is was a big sponsor of the Browns. So we were able to get like some like we were able to sit at the cool kid spots for a training camp. And I was able to like meet Joe Thomas, and he like signed my football cards, and we took pictures with him, and he was just a really swell dude. And like, that was rookie Joe Thomas too.
Oh, wow.
And yeah.
Shit, that card must be worth so much right now. Shout out to Gary V. Shit.
Keep it for a while. But Joe Thomas, I mean, 11-year Brown, 10-year Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, future Hall of Famer. We all know him from his consecutive snaps, over 10,000 consecutive snaps. And one that I thought, or two stats that I thought were equally as impressive, were only 61 penalties in his career and only gave up 30 sacks. So shout out to Joe Thomas, man. He's a living legend. He'll be in that Hall of Fame here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There isn't like a measure that we have available that doesn't put Joe Thomas as one of like the best offensive linemen that's ever played the game. Like his PFF grades for pretty much his entire career were just, it was like 80, 90, 90s, 90s, and 80s, like the whole way through.
Yep. Yeah. Like one thing that I remember they do the NFL top 100, and he was always in like the top 5 or top 10. And they always said like he was the most boring tackle, but no one would get by him. Like he just stonewall, just like back, punt, bump. No one's going to get past him.
He could do it all, run blocking, pass blocking, of course, but he can get to the second level. You see him on screens. I mean, come on, Joe Thomas. I don't think, I think everyone knows who he is at this point. And he's even on TV now with this post-career stuff.
He's actually one of the few like ex-football players that I like to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
He has great perspective. He got skinny, which is the most jarring thing.
Yeah,
and he kind of has that like old Midwest charm. Like he's almost like surprised he's in this position. Like there's no ego with him. He's just a dude from Wisconsin, and
that's a good point. Yeah, hell yeah.
A couple of things about Josh Cribbs, 8-year Brown, 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro. But he's actually the Browns' all-purpose yards leader. I don't know if you knew that. So all those kick returns, punt returns definitely add up, and all-time single season in yards as well. But when I hear Josh Cribbs, I think of those dreadlocks hanging out the back of his helmet,
Number 16.
doing kick and punt returns like it's nothing. I don't know exactly how many he had in his career, but I'm sure he's up there with the top guys, the Devin Hesters and guys like that.
Yeah, eight kickoff returns for touchdowns in his career, which is, I believe, tied for most all time.
Okay.
Unless Cordarrelle Patterson broke it this past year. I think Cordarrelle and Cribbs are tied at number 1 with 8. Yeah, Josh Cribbs is one of those players that I wish he was playing now instead of 5 years ago, because it was always kind of like a really weird thing. Every year it's like, we're going to get Josh Cribbs way more involved in the offense. And every year they would try to do like some wide receiver screens or just like the bare minimum to get him the ball, like, a wildcat play here or there. Now the NFL is like built for players who are great with the ball in their hands. Like you'd run jet sweeps with him, get him out in space. And like the thing about Cribbs compared to most other return men is like with Hester, you have like the speed, and with Cordarrelle Patterson, you just have the fluidity and just like that spatial awareness of where he is.
Exactly.
Cribbs was almost a power kick returner. Like he was not small. He wasn't like a 99 speed and Madden kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was just quick, and he was great contact balance to break tackles. So
yeah, he was a quarterback in college, wasn't he? Right?
Yes, he was. Kent State.
Undrafted. Undrafted too.
Undrafted.
I
feel like a lot of Kent State players went undrafted.
Yep. James Harrison. Julian Edelman was in the 7th round. Yeah.
Is there one Josh Cribbs play that kind of stands out to you? Because I always think of that, and it was a punt return play against the Steelers where he kind of fumbles it at the goal line.
Oh, absolutely.
So he has to go back and pick it up, and then he ends up taking it to the house anyways.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like there was like a moment, like there's like a step he takes where it's like a millimeter from being out of bounds. Like there is a single blade of grass keeping that from where he was at. But yeah, that was the play that I was going to tell, that kick return where he takes it back to the house. We still lose that game. So honestly, I could actually say that like favorite and least favorite memories, like that's really high on my favorite memories list. And on like the worst memories list, that same game, Ben Roethlisberger breaks a tackle from Willie McGinnis and takes it for a game-winning touchdown on us. And I'm just like, you do all of that, you get my hopes all on that, all up. Like in Cleveland, there's like 25% Steelers fans at my high school. I'll have that one moment over them for the first time in my life, and you take that away from me. Like, Ben Roethlisberger did quite a lot of damage to my childhood.
Yeah.
Did it hurt to see Cribbs more in the black and silver or Colts or with the Jets?
It didn't hurt at all. Like you're totally used to watching your old favorites like get old with another team. Maybe I'm just used to that with the Indians, but football's football. Football's different.
Josh Cribbs eventually came back to the Browns, though. That's what makes him a Browns legend.
Yeah, he has a show on our local CBS channel. Like,
oh, nice.
Yeah, he has like a talk show with his wife where they like go out and try local restaurants and talk about local people things. So yeah, he's very much a huge part of the Cleveland community.
That's awesome.
Very likable dude. So yeah, that's kind of why he gets put up there on the list of favorite players.
I always notice like the Duran mentioned earlier, like he knows him for like the long dreadlocks hanging out the back of the helmet. One thing that I always noticed about Cribbs that I hated his face mask. He always had that thin, visible with the eyebrow, like with the eye vision, but he had like they came up to, I don't know, it came up to like right above his nose, another bar underneath. I forget the name of it, but it wasn't the birdcage. Birdcage is my favorite face mask, but this one, it was
he didn't want to get poked in the eye.
I just hated it because he was such a, like Paul said, like he was just a power, returner. And it was awesome to see because he'd break tackles and then like he'd just find those lanes. But man, I just hated his face mask so much. Like I hated it.
Yep. Paul, can you think of a player? I mean, I know we mentioned Josh Cribbs, of course, but that's a little bit underrated. That doesn't get enough credit for being a Brown.
Ooh, so Browns kind of have a history of having like these 1 year wonder type players or guys.
I could think of one right now.
Yeah, like the Peyton Hillis, and my initial thought was Gary Barnidge.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Gary
Oh
Barnidge.
yes,
Tied in.
Yeah, I forgot about that guy.
I was thinking of Peyton Hillis, of course.
Oh well.
Another guy, Peyton Hillis. Did he lead the league in rushing one year?
He got the Madden cover, which is what.
Yeah, I know he got the Madden cover. Yeah. Well, that's why he unfortunately fell off after that. The good old Madden curse.
Did Cleveland pay him or did Denver?
So what happened with what is it? We got Hillis in a trade with Denver. We traded Brady Quinn for Peyton Hillis, and then he was like originally going to be like our fullback. It's like the trade that you make that no one cares about. You trade your quarterback who busts, who wants to go get a second chance elsewhere. You get a rotational piece at running back, but he eventually just fit the system perfectly, just kind of had it all figured out for him. And he had that season he had out of nowhere, got the Madden cover. And the next year he really wanted to, cash in, get his big contract. And they're like, let's just make sure you're not a 1-year wonder. And then he had a mysterious flu. And then there were like issues like behind the scenes where he just wasn't focused because of all the drama with him wanting to get a new contract. And then they let him go. And I believe he went to the Kansas City Chiefs. There was also a very, very weird moment where I was in church talking to somebody about football. We were talking about how, man, Peyton Hillis is a free agent, but I really still hope that we re-sign him because we really don't have any moments with any other running backs. And then the guy that I'm talking to is like, yeah, Peyton Hillis. And I'm like, yeah, we're talking about Peyton Hillis. And he's like, no, there's Peyton Hillis. And Peyton Hillis just walks right by me into the service. And I'm like, oh my God. And he was obviously like huge. And how football players just almost have like a presence and a vibe. It's like they're just so big, and normally their wives will be like really, really attractive. Like it's just like an instant like, whoa.
Yep. Of course. Peyton Hillis is Cleveland year, his big breakout year, 1,177 yards. The next year, that flu obviously lasted a long time because they only played 9 games or started 9 games that season. 587, then Kansas City 300, Giants 250, Giants 115. So they just kept getting cut in half each year.
And that's why it's one of the most interesting fluke stories in football history. Like the other interesting thing is he was in college, he was the fullback be in front of Darren McFadden and Felix Jones. So it's his whole entire career, he's never had the spotlight. He wasn't anything in college. He wasn't anything with the Broncos. And then he comes in the Browns and has that opportunity, and poof, he does that. Yeah.
I'm looking at Gary Barnidge right now. I totally forgot. He was like a 8-year veteran the year he broke out. He ended up having 1,000-yard season, 9 touchdowns. I really remember that because of fantasy football.
He went on to the Buccaneers, right?
No, I see Cleveland.
Okay.
I see Cleveland up to 2016, and that's it. But even before then, he had his 1,000 yards. In his career before then, he had 2, 3, 4. He only had 500 complete or total yards in the 7 years before that year. And then of course, one more year after that. And that was it. I'm glad you mentioned him. That truly was a one-hit wonder.
What about Braylon Edwards?
Oh my goodness. Braylon Edwards stories were great. Braylon Edwards, after that 2007 season, he got too big for his britches. He had like a speeding incident and like some like nothing like big legal, but just like a whole bunch of those little things like, what are you doing? What are you doing at hanging at the bar that all the football players go to get arrested at? What are you doing driving 100 miles per hour on midnight? And then in 2008, I think he had 18 drops in one season. Like
he led the league in drops.
I'm pulling it up off PFF right now.
Yeah,
but
let's
like
hear
it. He in 2008, Braylon Edwards had 19 drops. 19 drops on 128 targets, which I think is a PFF record. The only, like most of the times the league leaders are only going to have like 13 to 15.
And you guys got rid of him that following year, right?
Yep, and then he went over to the Jets, and he wasn't able to rebound. Like I think, like I've heard that he just really didn't like Cleveland because he never really endeared himself to the fans because he was a Michigan guy, and there's like every Cleveland Browns fan, like 90% of them are also big Buckeyes fans. Like you go on talk radio, like during draft season, everybody wants to draft the Buckeye. Everybody wants to get that guy. But so I heard things that he like never truly felt like he was part of the Cleveland Browns community because of that. Also updating my thing about Braylon Edwards is yes, the Braylon Edwards most drops in a season by PFF drop metric is tied for the most of all time. So 2008, Braylon Edwards had the most drops, tied for the most, and he was tied for Braylon Edwards in 2007.
No.
So 38 drops in 2 seasons. If you'd like, we can compare that to Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh God. who
had 38 drops. He had 45 drops from 2006 onward. So a decade of Larry Fitzgerald is less drops than Braylon Edwards in 2 years.
2 seasons. Wow. Well, Braylon Edwards is number 1 in touchdown single season for the Browns and number 2 in yards. So he had one of those big seasons, but man, dropping the ball, especially for a wide receiver, it's heartbreaking. If you type in Braylon Edwards YouTube, they have like a 10-minute compilation of him just dropping passes from Browns quarterbacks. Mark Sanchez wide open over the shoulder, and it like hits him in the face mask. He has some brutal ones, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's been a little bit of a movement for like when people are like scouting that hands aren't as important as separation, but like your hands is how you capitalize on your separation. Yeah. Like what is it? Jerry Jeudy and Deontay Johnson are like the leaders in drops, and most people would consider those guys to be very good wide receivers, and they are pretty good because they can separate.
Yep.
But their drops are what's going to separate them from being good to great. Like if Jerry Jeudy doesn't improve his hands, like he's never going to be a true top 20, top 24 wide receiver in the NFL. Same with Deontay Johnson.
Yep. Yeah, that's what knocked KJ Hamler down the board because of his drops.
Yeah, like they're definitely an issue.
Can't do it. G, anything else about players?
No, man. But now that he compared him to Larry Fitzgerald, it kind of got me thinking of like all the sure-handed receivers that I kind of want to compare him to. But with that's a whole another episode.
Oh yeah, like there's lots of interesting players. Another thing that is kind of interesting is when Sashi Brown came to the Browns, we immediately got rid of a whole bunch of good players. And the Browns have a great offensive line, and the Browns have had a pretty good offensive line for the past decade. But the Browns had Mitchell Schwartz before he went to the Chiefs, and the Browns had Alex Mack before he went to the Falcons.
Yeah.
So we had at one point an offensive line with Joe Thomas, Alex Mack, and Mitchell Schwartz.
Wow.
Is that the greatest offensive line of all time? Like
that one's pretty good. So did those guys get traded away, released, or did their contract expire? What was that?
Their contracts expired, and as part of Sashi Brown's analytics plan, he wanted to have as much cap space as possible and as much draft picks as possible, so have the most resources possible to do his magic. Sadly, his magic also included having Ray Farmer select the players, and that's kind of how we ended up with some fantastic draft classes like the Justin Gilbert, Johnny Manziel class, which is actually not that bad because we got Christian Kirksey and Joel Bitonio in it. But that might be the worst first round of any team any.
Yeah, I heard your offensive coordinator actually wanted Derek Carr.
Yeah, they in the analytics guys, they all wanted Teddy Bridgewater. Like they did like a huge analytic breakdown of quarterbacks and it said Teddy Bridgewater was the guy. But there's an old little like folk tale that Jimmy Haslam like ran and talked with like a homeless person who like, and that homeless person was like telling him all about how Johnny Manziel and that the city needs Johnny Manziel and that all that kind of stuff. So there's like a little cult tale about
I've
that.
actually heard that. Yeah, that's weird. That's weird if that Haslam story's true.
I wonder if PFF has like his, like old players like Steve Largent or like Chris Carter, in their system that you can compare them to, or like, it has to be recent or something like that.
2006, old football film, especially old football film, like that old football film in all 22 is exceedingly rare, if not film just completely decayed and lost to history.
It may be like recency bias because we just interviewed a Jets fan. Shout out to Alex, by the way. But I'm so interested in like his numbers compared to Wayne Corbett. You know what I mean? Because he was just an awesome player to watch.
Who are you talking about?
Good when he was comparing, the amount of drops.
Oh,
to
Braylon.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on that, man. Sorry. Okay. It's just and I didn't realize he had that many drops. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of drops. It's historic level.
Yep. Definitely.
Other fun stories from the Browns front office. So I was in a Skype conversation with the guy because I do stuff with PFF. I'm pretty closely connected to that community as well. Mm-hmm. And it was a Houston Texans fan complaining about all the whole Jack Easterby stuff and how, oh my gosh, their ownership is so corrupt and how crazy the front office is. And I like read the little Sports Illustrated article and I'm like, this kind of just sounds like a regular old Browns power struggle, but with a lot less like cocaine and alleged pooping on people's desks. Do you know who I'm talking about here?
No, who? Let's hear the story.
The Browns had a general manager named George Kokinis who came from the Raven system. I think this was the Eric Mangini era. Mm-hmm. And one day, George Kokinis was escorted out of the Browns office by team security and fired.
No.
And we never knew why. They quit. They had like a legal thing and things were sealed. So, and whatever media member knows never says anything. But there were rumors that our general manager was doing the good old fashioned coke and hookers and got pissed off at the owner and took a dump on his desk, and that's what he got fired for. Obviously, I have no idea if this is true.
I hope it is.
It's just one of those things that, yes, we all kind of hope it is true.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Here's what it says on the Wikipedia. So he just got hired as general manager. So he is not even through his first year as general manager in 2009. After a 1-7 start, Kokinis was escorted from the Browns team facility by security on November 2nd, 2009. The team later released a statement saying that he's no longer actively involved in the organization. He then went and did background stuff for Ozzie Newsome for the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. And yep, to fill in that hole, crazy stuff. Like whatever the truth is, it's probably crazy because no general manager gets fired after 8 weeks with the team.
Yeah. If you look at his Pro Football Reference profile, it's 1 year, Cleveland Browns general manager, 5-11, and that's it. Nothing before, nothing after.
Yep.
That is crazy. That's a new story. That's a story I haven't heard about.
Might be complete bullcrap. This is what's going on the right. Yeah.
That's it. I hope he was really doing that. Well, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about some of these coaches that you guys have had. I mean, just, of course, going way back in the day, there's tons of them. But just recently, Stefanski, Bill Belichick, Hugh Jackson,
Freddie Kitchens,
Marty Schottenheimer, rest in peace, Romeo Cornell, Eric Mangini, who you mentioned, but there's 14 coaches in the last 30 years. And one thing that I didn't realize until today was I didn't realize Bill Belichick was there for 5 seasons, 80 games. I thought he was more like a one and done type of coach there.
And you know who his defensive coordinator was, right?
No, who was it?
Yeah.
Nick Saban.
Yep.
Oh, Nick Saban.
Yeah, that's that where you had that like great staff. Like Jim Schwartz was just like a paper boy, and like you had so many greats on that one.
Yeah,
Like,
it's unbelievable. Like
that
I
staff
think
is
Bruce.
great.
Yeah, let's see. They had like a whole documentary on there. So, yeah, you had Bill Belichick, you had Ozzie Newsome, Scott Pioli, Mike Tannenbaum as like working in the personnel office, Jim Schwartz, Kirk Ferentz, Tom Dimitroff, Nick Saban, Eric Mangini, Phil Savage, Michael
Savage, Senior Bowl.
Yep, he was with the Senior Bowl. I've talked with Phil Savage. He's a really good guy. And yeah, it's just an unreal coaching staff.
Wow.
Yeah, that staff was nuts. I remember seeing that documentary, and I remember Saban had those big old like thick glasses. Like
and Art Modell ruined it. Like there was a guy who went to jail for who got arrested for literally going to Art Modell's grave and pissing on it, but everyone in Cleveland was like, we totally get it. We totally get it.
Even the cops said that.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
We get it. So do you have a favorite coach out of that group of guys? I mean, who was it? I think it's definitely not. Marty Schottenheimer did have a winning record.
Well, I wasn't alive for Marty Schottenheimer,
okay.
So I can only go after 99. And if I can't pick Kevin Stefanski,
you can. I mean, he's off to a hot start. It's one season, but I mean,
well, he's absolutely going to be pick number one. Like,
okay,
he's the only coach who actually feels like a competent coach. Like, he what he did there in one season guarantees him at least 2 more seasons. Like, he can completely stink next year, and we're gonna be like, well, he was good last year. Let's see if it averages out. No other coach like Romeo Crennel, when he had the good season in 2007, it was preceded by like a bad season and then more bad seasons after that. But honestly, I think my favorite was Eric Mangini. I think he was the best head coach in Cleveland Browns since '99, besides Kevin Stefanski. And that just goes to show you how like awful all these coaches were. Like, I'm going to be comparing him to like Butch Davis, who, I mean, that was really young childhood.
Rob Chudzinski.
And Romeo Crennel were kind of like in that second place. But there's just something about the Mangini teams where we had just such a complete lack of talent. Like, those teams, talent-wise, were probably about as bad as the Hugh Jackson teams, but we would win 5 games and we would play the good teams tough. Like, we beat the Patriots in 2009 with, I don't know, Seneca Wallace as our quarterback. Like, just like what he was able to do with just no talent on the Browns to just get them out of like the top 10 in the draft, I just thought was really good. And that was one of the teams that like played with some of like, they just didn't really have penalties. They just kind of felt well coached, even though they went 5-11 both seasons.
So I know you said. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, he was dealing with Colt McCoy and Jake Delhomme and Seneca Wallace, and in that legendary game,
you guys had Jake Delhomme.
Yeah, in that legendary game with against against the Patriots, where the team won 34-14 against Tom Brady. Yeah, we had Colt McCoy as our quarterback with Peyton Hillis, and our top receivers were like Muhammad Massaquoi.
Oh yeah,
Brian Robisky. It was bad.
Yeah.
So I know you said your favorite coach was Stefanski. Did you expect him to be the head coach when it was between him and Robert Saleh, especially after that NFC playoff game?
I mean, I wanted Stefanski because I knew he fit in with what the rest of the front office wanted. All I wanted in a Browns front office, especially after all the years of bickering between the analytics guys and the Hugh Jacksons, and then John Dorsey comes and he's too football-y, and Podesta isn't, he's doing things different from Podesta. I just wanted everybody to be on the same page. And that was one of the things we could get with Stefanski. Because I know D. Podesta, the Moneyball guy, wanted Kevin Stefanski because he wanted Kevin Stefanski over Freddie Kitchens the prior year. I know that he would do well with Andrew Berry because like Andrew Berry comes from a similar background. So I just wanted my front office people and my head coach to not want to rip their heads off like we've had in the past. And so far it looks like we got it. Like everything has just kind of gone smoothly. Like the guys that we've been brought in, like the Ronnie Harrisons and like a lot of these like late ads, and our draft class in 2020 with Jedrick Wills making the transition, guys like Harrison Bryant contributing early. Like everything has just kind of been smooth. Like every decision we've made has been at least solid and understandable.
Yeah, when that hiring process was going on, I was listening to a lot of NFL radio on Sirius, and Pat Kerwin, he was an ex-scout office guy, but he was really big on him. He's known Stefanski since high school, and he always spoke highly of him, and that was the first time where I really felt like, hey, maybe they're onto something here. So
yeah, it was and he comes from like the Gary Kubiak tree, and the wide zone play action game has pretty much been one of the most successful schemes in the NFL. You've got the McVays, you've got the Shanahans.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from that same cloth. Like I think it's called the QB Collective, which Mike Shanahan runs. He's been a part of that with like the LaFleurs and the Shanahan. So he's right in that tree. And when you want to build a wide zone offense and you have two top 20 running backs in the NFL, and you then go ahead. Yeah, and you literally go ahead and improve the offensive line by picking up Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills when you already have Joel Bitonio and Treader, and then Wyatt Teller transforms into a Pro Bowl level guard. Like pretty much have all of the tools you need to get that running game both established and usable to punish teams at the end of the game as your closer.
Yeah, I love the two running backs you have. I'm PFF ranked Chubb is the number one running back last year, not the year that just passed, but 2 years ago, I guess now. And I mean, Kareem Hunt, he's led the league in rushing before. And if given the opportunity, I think he could definitely be up there inside the top 10 for sure. So, I mean, those two running backs, I know you just extended Hunt too. So how many years does Chubb have left? He's still on his rookie deal.
Still on his rookie deal. He was drafted in the second round, so we don't get a fifth-year option. So we had 2018, 2019, 2020. Next year is going to be his last year.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the Browns are very analytically focused.
That sounds like
they do not sign your running backs to long-term deals. That maybe the Browns will be the first team, because the Cowboys should have let Zeke walk. They didn't.
Sign the quarterback first.
Yep. The Bengals gave their money to Joe Mixon, and he just went and got hurt. It's like running backs.
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey. The only two ones that are so far working out are Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. But give them a couple more years, maybe in 2-3 years, their knees will be exploded, and they'll be making $15 million to get 3 yards per carry. Like I
can see that with Cook for sure. He's already had that history.
He's already had that. Exactly.
And what is like Derrick Henry had, even though he's still kind of like young, his usage patterns in both high school and NFL would potentially lead to him breaking down early. Like it's tough to be a running back in the NFL. Like the CBA, I know they just signed with it. They should have considered doing something where running backs get free agency after 3 years, just to at least give them some of their value. Because I think
that's a good idea.
The smart thing to do would just be to draft a handful of running backs every couple of years and just make sure your offensive line's good. I don't see why you can't just go ahead and get Ramondre Stevenson or Elijah Mitchell and have a good stable of backs and rotate them around until they're always fresh, and have that be about as good as what having one Dalvin Cook would be.
Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it probably would have been more beneficial for him if he would have just got picked in the second round.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, then all of a sudden he doesn't have that extra year. He gets to hit free agency earlier. and he was picked with the last pick of the first round. So, yeah, guys like that, I'm definitely on board with that. Definitely. G, anything else in coaches?
No, nothing.
All right, let's move on a little bit. We want to know your earliest Browns memory. Do you have a first one that kind of stands out to you?
Me watching the television screen and having no idea what the hell is going on in Bottlegate.
Yeah. Bottlegate. Okay.
So for
the trashing.
For those of you who don't know, the Browns had a big play, and then they ran another play, and then they went and reviewed the previous big play, even though the first play already happened, and then they overturned that play, and everybody's like, you just literally like screwed us out of a potential playoff things. And then there was a big riot, and everyone started throwing trash on the field, and they forfeited they said they were going to forfeit the game, but then they had to like unforfeit the game and clean out all the trash and like do the last couple of plays. Absolute insanity. It's like, imagine being like 5 or 6 watching that and trying to like comprehend that. So I think that was the first.
I didn't see many Browns games going up, especially here on the West Coast, but that was a game that I ended up getting caught up on, like the NFL top 10, like I forget what, like worst NFL moments or whatever their title was for it. But I remember learning about that then. But yeah, that's nuts on that one. Yeah, I guess the first thing I kind of remember, I do remember Reuben Drones, Braylon Edwards. That was around like 2005 season. I don't remember too much about that. Like I said, I don't really remember them being on TV. It honestly, the big breakout to me, and it's probably has to do with fantasy football, Peyton Hillis that year, 2010, with the 1,100 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns.
Think about 2007.
What was that?
2007. That was the Derek Anderson year. Derek Anderson, Jamal Lewis, and Braylon Edwards, and Kellen Winslow.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely remember Kellen Winslow, especially coming out of college. His big hoorah interview that he's a soldier. Yep. All that stuff. So, yeah, I do remember those guys. To me, it's just, I guess it is Kellen Winslow. I just don't remember a specific game that stood out. And, that I could kind of feel like that I watched or
did you see the Double Doink?
The Double Doink I did. I do remember that one. That was crazy. I mean, of course, Dawson, was that the kicker?
Yep, Phil Dawson.
Dawson off of the upright, hits that center bar that kind of angles in the back and then bounces out. They call it no good. Then I guess they review it, come back out onto the field and say, hey, it's actually good. We're going into overtime.
Yeah. And like that process took so long, and the Ravens were like thought they won. I think there was literally a player that was taking a shower during the time. Like he had already hit the showers. Yeah. There was a player doing a post-game interview, and then he's like, I think it was kicker Matt Stover, because Matt Stover kicked the game-winning field goal before Dawson did, and Matt Stover was doing an interview, and one of the Browns players goes like, "I'm going to overtime." See you there. And it's like, what? Wow.
And then, of course, Browns come back. Dawson kicks the game winner in overtime.
Yep.
Beat the Ravens. Yeah, that was a crazy one. I don't know what year that was.
That was 2007. That was the magic year.
I think one of my best memories is when your general manager, Sonny Weaver, drafted Vontae Mack first overall. I thought that was a big power move. It's all draft day.
Oh, draft day. I don't know what that is. Movie?
It's a movie.
Oh, okay.
That obviously was a swing and miss joke there.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, despite that movie literally being like a dream scenario for me about wanting to be a general manager of the Cleveland Browns, I haven't actually seen it.
It's such a, like, you following the draft as much as you do, I think you'd be more pissed off, because I remember after I went to watch that in theaters, I remember watching that alone because no one wanted to watch it, and I watched it. I'm like, this is never going to happen, especially the Browns. This is stupid, and I just left.
Damn. But it's not even so bad it's good.
It's laughable. I think you should watch it. Definitely being a draft guy like yourself, you should definitely watch it, and you'll laugh your ass off. Like, you'll laugh at the movie instead of with the movie, I think you'll laugh at the movie.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Like as soon as you get it, you're like, oh, that's what that dumbass was talking about.
Well, let's talk about some good memories. Do you have a favorite memory being a Browns fan? I mean, lately, I know versus the Steelers, just this past year was a pretty big one. What else? The double doink could be one. It could even be a draft pick, picking Baker Mayfield. Actually, that draft class there, the Myles Garrett pick. Anything like that?
Well, I think I have a pretty interesting one. 2018 Thursday Night Football, the Browns versus the Jets, the Bud Light coolers.
Oh God.
When the Browns got their first win after going 0-16 and breaking, I believe, a 19-game losing streak, that one was fun and that one was special. Because, like, yeah, what the Browns did this season was great, but I wasn't really able to like spend that time with friends or anybody else. It was just all watching on the couch. That was the one game I was actually like able to go to like a bar for, and to see when Tyrod Taylor gets hurt and we're like, oh, wait a second, we get to finally see Baker Mayfield. He's good. He's accurate.
Yeah.
He's making these plays, and it's just like he does like, and then just everything just kind of shifted. Because like when you lose that much, like, imagine losing 19 straight games.
Yeah.
And then before you lost 19 straight games, you lost like 15 straight games. You are literally on a like 1 in 31, 1 in 33 pace. 1 in 33. Like losing is just the default.
Yeah.
Everything you do is you're looking for at the draft before the season starts. You're like, and to have all of that go away, and it's like, I actually have a reason to watch positive football next week instead of just, watching football, hoping that Derek Kindred can start balling out and maybe be our safety of the future. Like that actual moment of hope from that, from the game and the Bud Light coolers opening and everybody getting their one free beer.
Yep.
And it was a celebration. And I feel that only in Cleveland are you going to have a celebration parade for going 0-16, exemplifying the Browns' misfortune, have a celebration for winning our first game as large as it was. And honestly, if there was no COVID, I can't imagine what would happen. What would have happened this year, and my God, next year that atmosphere is going to be electric. It's going to just feel completely different from anything I think I felt.
Damn, poor Tyrod, man. He's like the good luck Chuck of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was never a Tyrod fan, and I kind of feel like that plus Hard Knocks was like. That game plus Hard Knocks was the downfall of Hugh Jackson. Hard Knocks kind of put him in a bad position just with the whole starting thing, naming Baker the backup. And then I'm looking at that game right now. Tyrod Taylor was 4 for 14 and 19 yards before the injury even happened. And then Baker Mayfield comes in 17 for 23, 200 yards. So I don't know what he was seeing in practice where he really thought that Tyrod Taylor was the better quarterback out of that, but come on, Hugh. I think there's a reason why he's not coaching right now.
Yeah. I mean, he did a good thing by just pretty much just sitting out Corey Coleman.
Oh yeah. I remember the Corey Coleman situation.
That little fiasco was a little shit, but on Hard Knocks, the thing I remember is the QB trailer. I thought that was dope as shit.
Oh yeah, the guys hanging out in there.
Back.
Little did you know they just wanted to get away from Hugh.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
like everyone mentions like Freddie Kitchens being like the word, like the definition of bad Browns coach, but no, Hugh Jackson was a special level of incompetence.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay,
he went 3 for 36.
Elaborate. Let's hear about it, man. Go off on him. Let's go.
I don't like going off on people. Like I just hate saying mean things about people in general, because I also like
it's not mean Jackson. If it's facts. You're good.
Like I've like literally talked with him before, and he's like gave me like good dadly advice when I talked with him at the Senior Bowl. So it's like I always just had like think about like that and him being nice to me before I trade. It's like, yeah, kind of hard, but yeah, like there were so many games that we lost, and it was just like they're like close losses. They're like a thing away from getting there, and it was just like I really thought that even though those teams didn't have a lot of talent, they had more talent than what 0 or 1 wins should recommend. And it was just so odd watching him deal with Deshaun Kaiser, be like, "You're our quarterback. You're not our quarterback. You're our quarterback. Yeah, you're not our quarterback." And he like benched him and started him so many times, and like it clearly took like a toll on him. There was like a joke that when we hired Hugh Jackson, we hired him because he was a QB whisperer, and I really think the only thing he was whispering to Deshaun Kaiser is, "You suck." But yeah, just how he dealt with those situations was just awful. There was obviously your regular power struggle stuff where he was just not in cahoots with the management, recommended some, just didn't treat certain picks the way that the front office expected him. Because what you saw with Corey Coleman and Hugh Jackson Hard Knocks, like he gave up on him like as soon as he went to camp. Like imagine being a first round rookie and you come to and you get picked up by the front office and the coaching staff looks at you like you're never going to be more than a third or fourth receiver. Like
was he there when you guys picked Chubb in the 3rd round?
We picked him up in the 2nd. He was Chubb was on that team in 2018. So he played with Hugh for like 5 games where he started in 2018 before he got fired.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep, 2016 into a couple games in 2018.
Okay, yeah. 2nd round, 35th pick. Okay, in 2018. Shit.
I want to talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh game last year. I mean, this is one of the, rivalries that's been heating up lately. We all know the Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph stuff, but week 6, you guys lost 7-38. Week 17, you guys won 24-22. Then in that wild card game, you guys kicked ass. The score was 48-37, but it was 28-0 in the first half. And I mean, eventually that was your guys' first playoff win in 22 years. Should have cracked some coolers for that too.
Yep. I think it was 25 years. It was more than 22.
Okay.
Yeah, because 94 was the last playoff win. But yeah, it was incredible because that in the week 17 game, they were playing their backups and it was a close game. And then in the wild card game, we score like 2 touchdowns. Like I was still driving to my friend's house during the game. It's like, oh crap, I missed the first couple minutes. What'd I miss? A whole lot.
Yeah.
We're kicking their ass. Like it was like a movie kind of thing. Like you just didn't believe it. Like there was no reason for this to happen. Like the Steelers were on paper a little bit better of a team, and the Browns defense, which was where I thought the whole game would have revolved around, just turned it up to a special level and just started turning every mistake into turnovers.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like how the defense like worked. It was like, yeah, like we're either going to get blown up big or we're going to get a couple turnovers in our zone defense. And they got into that early lead, got those turnovers, and it was very strange. Like, even though we were up 28-0, as they kind of got closer and closer into garbage time, it got really, really terrifying. And that would be an incredibly Cleveland Brown thing to do. Like the ways the Cleveland Browns have found ways to lose in the past have been so incredibly ridiculous that it would totally fit in with Browns history to blow a 28-0 lead.
Yeah.
Recap of some of the most incredible ways the Cleveland Browns have lost a game. Monday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens, 2015. We go up to, I think this was 27-27. We go up to kick a field goal. The announcer says if they win it, the game's over. If they lose, if they miss it, they go into overtime. Kick gets blocked and returned for a touchdown. Yeah, like
heartbreak.
there was a game against the Ravens where we lost the game because we had a taunting call. We had a Josh McCown threw the ball to Terrell Pryor, and he then just tossed the ball to the ref, and the defender walked in front of it, and the ball bounced off his helmet, and the ref flew the flag because he thought that the Terrell Pryor bounced the ball off his head after getting a big play, took us out of field goal range, and we lost the game.
Wow.
Like, how do you there are just things that I have seen, like finding ways to lose that I think only Chargers fans could compare with.
Wow. What about the Detroit Lions fans?
Yeah, I mean the Lions had that one, the bat game that was kind of weird, but I'm not sure if they've had any loss that would compare to that the kick six against us, or just absolutely weird rules coming to bite us in the ass at the very end.
Or you can be the Oakland Raiders, who have that, the tuck rule against
them.
them.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Sorry to all the Charles Woodson fans out there. I apologize for bringing up bad memories, but I had to.
Or you remember the Dwayne Rudd helmet game? It would have just fit into that history to lose that game. There's almost a sense of dread watching your team, even though we're up by multiple touchdowns in the fourth quarter. You're just your imagination goes places.
Yeah.
So I think that these memories are fitting perfectly into our next category, which is worst memory being a Browns fan. I don't know if you've already said it, but I mean, you have a lot to choose from. That just the things that I wanted to bring up, just from a couple guys that we talked about before. I mean, Joe Thomas torn triceps when he was, of course, going on that crazy, ridiculous streak, 10,000 plus snaps. Then all of a sudden you see him down on the ground. It's like no one's ever seen Joe Thomas like that, not even down to tie his shoe. And all of a sudden he's in pain. I know that had to be a bad one for the Browns fans.
Oh my goodness. Probably just the never-ending string of Browns failed draft picks, and the thing of, maybe this player we draft will be good, then they go and stink.
Trent Richardson,
in 2000,
go ahead.
Well, I'm pulling up the damn.
Let's see. I'm just thinking Trent Richardson, Mingo, of course, Johnny Football. But go ahead. Bring up the list. I know that it gets way deeper than that.
All right. So 2007, we draft Joe Thomas, but we also draft Brady Quinn. Next year, we don't have anybody. Next year was Alex Mack, Joe Hayden. So that's a good run. 2011 was when it gets kind of bad. You've got Phil Taylor. You draft a nose tackle in the first round. How's that going to work? Bad. Yeah. Then in 2012, you get Trent Richardson and Brandon Weeden. Yep. And then in 2013, you get Barkevius Mingo. And then in 2014, we had Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel.
Both first rounders.
Yep. And then we follow that up with Danny Shelton and Cameron Irving. So 7 first rounders, 4 years.
Yeah.
Not a
hit. Then Corey Coleman after that.
Yeah, then they took Corey Coleman after that, and then Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
So you have 8 players that you can look at that are first rounders that should be the kind of guys that you would want to start on your team, and they provide no value. I'm just trying to.
The worst part would be if you could look at those draft classes and just see who the next 5 guys taken after. Because,
oh my God, look at the 2014 draft.
Yeah, those were all prime, at least most of them were top 10 picks out of all those guys. I mean, Trent Richardson was, Mingo was, 3rd, 6th overall, Gilbert 8th overall, Danny Shelton 12th, Coleman 15. So if you just look at that, that's
one draft pick that I know you guys got right though is Colt McCoy. I love me some Colt McCoy, man.
He's a great backup.
Longhorns all the way.
Oh yeah, what is it? Colt McCoy was one of just a prototypical just dude. I remember reading his what is it? For summer reading, I read his biography, and he is the most down to earth Christian Texas boy out there.
Yep.
did so much for like the community and just charity work. Like
He was best friends with Matt McConaughey.
yep. Like imagine being that cool.
Another
Like,
Christian boy.
All right.
Your name is Colt McCoy, which is the coolest Texas name of all time.
Of course.
And you make millions of dollars being a backup quarterback. And it's just like, what a life, dude.
I mean, he's no Chase Daniels backup quarterbacks, but you know, he's close.
Yeah, he's getting in the Chase Daniel range.
I would take Colt over Chase.
Is Chase is still in the league? Is he still in Detroit?
Chase is still in the league. I know that.
He's made a ton of money being a backup. That's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Colt McCoy has way more experience, though.
I'm gonna look it up.
I like Colt more. Well, let's get into some draft talk. I mean, this year last year you guys played pretty well. So you have the 26th overall pick.
Before we get into draft, can we just touch on some free agents first, or do you want to talk draft?
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
All right. So I'm just curious. One thing I was looking into is your guys' franchise tags. Do you think that you guys have do you want to use your franchise tag on a certain candidate, whether it be, Vernon, BJ Goodson, Carlos Joseph? Is there a free agent like franchise tag candidate that you can see?
No.
Good answer.
No? Okay.
No.
That's an awesome answer. Okay. So, and then another question I want to ask you is Baker Mayfield. Do you see him either getting extended or the 5th-year option getting picked up first?
I mean, ideally, you'd want to get the 5th-year option picked up, and maybe kick the extension down the line because like there's a bunch of players and you kind of want to see what's going to happen with Nick Chubb. Maybe see if you want some like free agents or whatnot. But with the way quarterbacks are, you want your quarterback to be happy. You don't want a mad quarterback. If the extension is there, and I think it would actually kind of be smart to get Baker extended before Lamar and Josh Allen get extended. So I would be completely and utterly happy with getting Baker Mayfield long-term extension right now.
But you want to see him on the 5th-year option first, correct?
No. Like I said, it depends. I see the benefits of both angles. If we do it early, we get to sign him before Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, raise the market value even more.
There you go.
I mean, if we sign Baker Mayfield first and Lamar and Josh Allen go for like less, and then that's a huge miss. But yeah, it's all about, we have 3 quarterbacks who are all going to be in that spot. They're all going to be negotiating and just kind of nailing the timing and making sure everybody's happy is going to be kind of the name of the game.
Exactly. Okay. Well, let's get into draft talk then. Dorian, you ready?
Draft. You guys have the 26th overall pick, 2 third-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks, about 5 in the top 100. Is there a direction you guys want to go in this? I mean, could add some more edge rushers, some corners, D-line. What are you thinking?
It all starts with the defense. Like our offense looked pretty good. I mean, we could use a wide receiver. I'm assuming Odell Beckham's going to come back to be the X, and hopefully he'll still have speed to take the top off of defense. Assuming we're keeping Odell Beckham and we're happy with him and he's happy with us, defense is going to be where you're going to look. And we have needs on all spots of defense. On the defensive line, we're going to need a new edge rusher to replace Olivier Vernon. Vernon is fine. Vernon is not a bad player by any means. It's just he's not going to be worth whatever contract that
he's coming off a big injury too, isn't he?
Well, he's always injured. Injuries have been a big part of him. I think last year was actually one of the years he was most healthy.
Yeah.
And then we have Larry Ogunjobi, our nose tackle, leaving, but I think we have a built-in replacement with Jordan Elliott, hopefully. So one technique help and edge help are what we would need. Ideally, JJ Watt, but there are lots of players in this draft who I feel can fit that bill.
JJ, if you're listening, my boy Paul wants you on the team. Come to Cleveland, man.
Hell yeah! I'll give you a kiss.
Would you be open to trading Odell Beckham for some more draft capital?
Ooh, good question.
Maybe. I mean, I just don't really know what he'd be worth. He's just such a difficult player to evaluate with all of his injuries and stuff. My thing is if he wants to be here, let him be here. If he doesn't want to be here, then trade him. If he doesn't want to be here, then don't tell anybody so we can keep his value as high as it can be.
Speaking of receivers, I mean, me and Duran had this conversation like previous before he came on. Rashad Higgins, do you want him back or no? Quick yes or no answer.
I'd like him back. I mean, I don't want to overpay him, but he just seems to have a great rapport with Baker Mayfield whenever he's been on the field. It's like been one of those like weird
good three receiver. Yeah.
But I mean, he was our 4 receiver behind Kadarrell Hodge for like most of the time.
That's right. I forgot Hodge.
And like Freddie Kitchens like refused to use him. And like, he's just kind of like been through a lot. He's just like kind of that veteran guy where, I mean, even as a 3 receiver, he's a little bit below average, but he just kind of has like that reliability and that knowledge of the scheme to continue being a force. Now,
good veteran presence.
Yeah. So it's like, would I be terribly upset if we were to replace him with a 4th round receiver? No, I mean, sentimentally, maybe, yeah, but if you want the best football team, it may be better to move on. It's close. That's why the people in the front office make those decisions and not me.
Yeah. So you mentioned edge. Do you think I'm thinking of edge right now because, I mean, in this league on defense, you got your corners are always key, and your defensive line is always key. I mean, Niners, we got Nick Bosa, so that's awesome. But I'd always love the edge depth. Guys I'm looking at is Aziz Ansari.
Aziz Ojulari.
Aziz Ojulari. Why did I say that? I think I was just listening to comedy earlier. That got in my head. You got Aziz. You got Phillips. You got Rousseau. You got all these guys. Is there somebody in the 26 range that you're looking at? Do you think you guys will trade up? Somebody that you like legitimately want that's reasonable?
Osai in a way.
Okay.
Osai just has an incredible motor. He has some experience in pass coverage, so if we want to have like our edges drop, he can do so on 3rd down. So positional versatility, and I think that would be just really crucial. He'd be a very good replacement for Olivier Vernon. I think they're kind of similar players with. I think they have pretty similar builds too. Osai is 6'4", 253. Olivier Vernon is 6'2", 262. So no, they don't really have similar builds, but they're both really good pass rushers who have like the versatility to drop back in coverage. Mm-hmm. And Owe is just a fun freak. He's just one of those guys where if he figures it out, it can be a Von Miller and a DeMarcus Ware type situation. His speed off the first step off the snap is special. Like it is elite. And yeah, his motor isn't there all 100%. He's still very raw. But when you have somebody like Myles Garrett to kind of like inspire him and to kind of keep things open throughout the rest of the line, that's like all the support that you would need there. A guy I don't want is Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips has 4 concussions in his career. He's 1 hit away from being retired, and I would not take that risk at the 26th pick. And I feel he's one of the guys that the media is overvaluing.
I like that. Yeah, I see a lot of like Jalen Phillips, things popping up. But, one thing that I feel like when I was reading is lack to mention is the 4 concussions. So I'm glad, you mentioned that. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys mentioned that in the draft guide you guys mentioned. So
Absolutely.
I'm definitely gonna look at that. So edge and what do you say? Nose tackle is the main thing.
On the defensive line, defensive tackle is weird because there really isn't like that much elite talent. But
what about BYU's D tackle and also Tungi? I think that's how you pronounce the name, from Ohio State.
Oh, Togiai and Tonga. Like there are 9 defensive tackles that we feel can contribute right away, and those 2 are towards like the bottom of our list. So those guys would be really good people to target in the 2nd to 3rd round if we feel that they're the best players available. Just keep in mind we have Jordan Elliott we drafted in the 3rd round last year. That's hopefully going to replace Ogunjobi. So I don't feel that's as high as a need. But yeah, like Barmore, we feel is a little overrated. We still only have a second round grade on him because
Okay.
we do a lot more on we value the players as they are. We do as little projection as possible because if you project, you can get a little too imaginative. You can see a player in the fourth and fifth round with good traits and be like, oh, he can be a Pro Bowler, but you're just getting so creative because you just see certain traits. So yeah, he has really good really good pass rushing skills, but he still plays too high, and we think that's going to kind of bite him in the butt his first year. But if he figures it out, then yeah, Pro Bowler.
How do you feel about Kwity Paye?
Kwity Paye, he's our edge one. We love him. Like the rumors that he's going to put up like sub 7 3-cones is just absolutely ridiculous. Like his change of direction is just at a whole nother alien level. And he finally seemed to figure it out and be pretty productive. Like he's kind of in that spot where he's not as athletic as Owe, but he's more refined. And he's had that year in that game where he's played like a top defensive end in the country. So he's a lot safer bet than Owe.
Yeah, I've been nerding out on edge rushers because I mean that's one. Yeah, I love watching receivers and I love watching edge rushers, defense linemen in the trenches. I loved seeing that because when it was back at the Senior Bowl, me and Duran watched Marcus we watched Davenport versus Will Hernandez, and we just watched them get stonewalled. And one thing that Duran said that stood out in my mind is that Davenport's not going to be worth his draft choice. Watch. And I was like, I don't know, man. This guy's a freak. And like, he's like, no, watch. And he still hasn't really turned out to where he was drafted, in my opinion.
2 first-round picks.
Yeah, it's 2 first-round picks. That's what it was. I was like, wasn't it just like 1 first round, 1 second, but it was 2. Okay.
Yeah, that was a reach at that price. I mean, 6'6", 265, and 4.6 speed. I mean, he hasn't been bad by any means. He is a starting edge player. He's just not a star.
I mean, if he was drafted in the second round rather than 2 first rounds to move up and get him, maybe.
Even 1 first round pick, that's still not a bad pick.
Yeah.
Did you get to attend the Senior Bowl this year?
Oh yeah, I was there.
Is there edge rushers that stood out there? I know that Basham was there. I think Herbert was there, right? From Kansas State.
Hubert, yep.
Herbert.
Cameron Sample was kind of the guy that we liked. He's kind of that 5 technique type of player where it's like he's not like a true like 9 tech, maybe a little bit better and like a 3-4 kind of role. But yeah, he was super productive at Tulane.
Tulane, right? Yeah.
Yep. And then he has good size, and he with those small school players, you just need to see them compete with the big guys and like be on their level, and he was at their level and he was getting pretty consistent wins, and it was just like.
And you had both Pittsburgh players there, right? Was it Weaver and Jones?
Yeah, I don't really remember much on how they did. I remember Quincy Roche was very exciting. Peyton Turner didn't look that great, but he was getting played more inside, and he's either like a big edge or an undersized interior, and I don't think he was as comfortable as an undersized interior as he would be as an oversized edge.
Yeah, I remember like one of the big names that people mentioned was Shaka Toney. And I just remember him getting pinballed left and right. And I was like, ooh,
too
poor
small.
Guy. Yeah, he is.
You're not going to be having much success as a pass rusher at 238. You're going to need to eat some bologna until you get to 250. Roche looked a lot better.
Yeah. Another guy, I can nerd out all day with draft, edges on you. I mean, let's see. There's that Notre Dame cat, Haynes, right?
Jalen Haynes, and they had Ogundeji, Ade Ogundeji.
I want to say it was Haynes that I was looking at. He was a redshirt senior, if I'm correct.
Yep, redshirt senior, 6'3" and 6'8", 261.
Yeah, I mean, again, let everybody know where they can find the draft guide.
It'll be at Expand the Box Score, 323 prospects. $12. We're the first in the market, and the thing's gorgeous too. Like, what is it? Ooh, I can screen share. This is on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says go ahead, screen share.
Share.
Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So here is our Trevor Lawrence report. First thing you'll notice is it's beautiful.
Yeah. Did you guys mention that he, did a bong rip too? Because if you drop him down to 12, that'd be great.
That'd be if only, man. He's going to Jacksonville. So yep, it looks great. We got the headshots of all of the players. We for heights we're using Senior Bowls or All-Star games for the ones that we have so far. We have trait grades. They go up to 9, but a 9 means they're like the best in the NFL, and nobody's the best in the NFL their rookie season, and no one has any trait that good. So every player has 4 primary traits, 4 secondary traits. They're graded on an NFL-like scale where 9 would be best in the NFL day 1. 8 is like top 5 to top 10 day 1. 7 is upper top half for starters. 6 is sufficient for starters. And then 5 would be like backup grade. And then 4 is where a red flag, and 3 is like a disqualifying red flag. So as you can see, Trevor Lawrence is very, very good. All of his bars are almost all the way filled. We have a strength section, a weaknesses section, a scheme section, and scheme is super important to this whole process because scheme is, without knowing the scheme, it's like not knowing the context for the player. You're just looking at his abilities. If you know what the scheme that they're running, it just gives you so much more information about the player. So we always tell people, tell us what they are doing as well as how good they are. And we have a section where we say stuff we don't know, because it's very important, especially for things like running backs in their hands or tight ends with their blocking. If they're not asked to do something, don't just guess how good they are at it, or don't just watch 3 reps and base everything on that. Understand that you don't really know how well this person will be at this certain trait or at this certain thing because they weren't asked to do it. So that's why we have a what we need to learn section to kind of separate that from the weaknesses. And a lot of players, we have a lot that we need to learn. And then a 2-sentence summary of one-liner and where we think that they are going to be, or what schemes they would fit best in their rookie year. And we have 323 of these.
Beautiful.
Who's a player that you would like to see? Maybe some under the radar kind of guy. Any prospect out there? It's in this book.
Shane Buechele.
Shane Buechele. We were low on Shane Buechele.
I'm a Texas guy. I know he went to Texas. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of not a lot of very nice colors here.
Lots of red.
Lots of red. We did not really think he was all that accurate. Didn't think he had that great of an arm, and he was kind of athletic, but we just don't really see where he would fit in at the NFL.
You have a disqualifying score on him for playmaking.
Yeah, he's out of structure. It's just a big no. Let's see. Yeah, in the pass game, Buechele consistently struggles to work through progressions. He lacks the ability to look off the opposing safety, accuracy on all levels, short,
simple routes. You guys can see this. I have bought it right now.
Heck yeah.
I bought this. You guys should buy it too.
Absolutely. We are officially endorsed.
Najee Harris, but I mean, come on, he's got to be running back 1.
Yeah. Him and Etienne are tied at running back 1, and we're going to break ties with
Bodie?
with with pro day results. Yep. So we're going to use like an athletic score that's proprietary that we're developing, or that our guy Rob is.
How reliable are pro day information?
This year I think they're going to be a bit more reliable because they have to be more reliable.
Okay.
And we all remember that Marshall Falk pro day saying that he ran in the high 3s or low 3s.
Oh yeah, like I don't think there's going to be anything like that happening. I think they're going to start bringing some like laser times. So you have to scroll down here slow now, because this is a huge document.
Hey, you know what? You don't have to if you don't want to, man.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just throwing a name out there, and I saw. I was just recently watching it because my fiance was curious about Last Chance U because she heard about it. So I showed her the one about Laney College, and she got really into it. So it got me excited.
Yeah, because when a woman likes something that you like, it just makes it so much more fun.
Hell yeah.
Escape from rom-coms for the first time.
I was like, oh, great. So, I mean, it broke my heart because, I mean, I'm a sucker for Bad Girls Clubs. I was watching that. I was watching those with her, but then so in Murder Mystery, so I was like, hey, like let's change it up. We'll watch Last Chance You, and she got really into it. So that's
All right.
awesome.
Well, I guess thank you guys for having me. Do you have any other questions for me?
That's it, man. That's it for me.
Yeah, that's all. That's all for me for sure. If you can stay after just for like 2 minutes, that'd be great. But yeah, let everybody know where they can follow you, where they can find you, and whatnot. Brag about yourself for a little bit before we end off. Let you know what we're working on.
All right. Well, yeah, the biggest thing is that just obviously it's the draft guide. Like I've had this thing planned for like over a year. I wanted to write a draft guide by myself. I found out that was too hard. Built a team. We've been doing prelims in June. We've been going over our methods and our scales with people in the industry like in May. Like when people were just making their draft grades on their last draft class, we were working on trying to make our draft guide for this draft class as good as it can be. The amount of effort and the amount of film that we've had to watch to put this thing together has just been incredible. It was like a quarantine project where everything just meshes perfectly in the talent we have on this team and the scouts that are watching this. We've had so many Zoom calls with so many like coaches in the industry, and we've all learned so much, and everything just came together perfectly. And like buying this draft guide, which is going to be comparable to any other draft guide that you are going to find, would probably be the best way of supporting.
That's awesome. I mean, I might even have to, buy a, session from one of you guys out there to teach me how to watch film, more properly. Cause I watch a lot of film, but I mean, I can't imagine the amount of film you guys walk in, but yeah, let us know where we can find you, like on Twitter, any kind of social media, whatnot.
Follow Expand the Box Score on Twitter at XTBOX score, and follow me at the Footpaul on Twitter. The Footpaul, like the football, but I'm Paul.
Mm-hmm. We'll put it all on the descriptions below. You can find that on Duran's background right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for sure. Follow us on Twitter at Why We're Fans. I'll retweet this and I'll share this from my personal account. I'm sure Duran will as well. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Duran, anything else to say before we get off?
No, until next time. Thanks again.
Until next time. Paul. Thanks very much. Thanks, Paul. Peace.